So an earpiece is the way to go, and the ear tube earpieces to me are the very safest, and they're comfortable. They're not terribly bulky. They're comfortable. You can easily store them, put them away. But I think it's important because we all now believe that this commonly held device, in many cases, can double your risk of getting a brain tumor if it's used too frequently or for too long a period of time.
So I'm not wrong to have avoided getting a smartphone.
Well,
everybody wants me to have the iPhone.
There are newer ones that are coming out every day by some other, brand.
Sure.
Certainly. No, I'm not doing it either because I know too much, and I'm maybe not as in tune with everything that's going on. But there's just so much that you need to know, and I don't think that it's even. I don't think it's how shall we say this, aesthetically pleasing. In terms of etiquette, that people are bringing their iPhones or smartphones wherever they go, particularly when you're out to dinner and everybody's got that iPhone and it's on the table and nobody's talking to one another. They're just checking their emails or their messages.
It's really changed life, hasn't it?
Do you think that's for the better? I don't.
No, I don't.
I'm probably be a dinosaur. But I remember when people used to chat with each other, and it was considered actually very rude to be carrying a device or having a conversation that wasn't related to, your immediate environment, your immediate location or situation. I mean, I see it going on all the time. Do we actually need to make a conversation, in the middle of the grocery aisle or in the drugstore? I mean, I hear all sorts of personal bits and pieces and tidbits that, I'd rather not hear about. So it's almost like a reality show in terms of everyday life.
The world is my bubble, and my bubble is the world. The smart meters that you were referring to are very disconcerting. Talk a little bit about what they are so people are clear.
Well, it's the new way to kind of meter your resources of utilities, and they're being installed pretty much throughout the country is what my understanding is. And not only are there lots of billing errors with this particular kind of smart meter that sends radio frequencies either back to a car or to headquarters pretty frequently so that, people know what you're using in terms of your utilities. But this is where people are starting to really get sick. I've heard so many cases of individuals who have gotten severely ill, again, within 24 hours. I know we're saying this again during the interview, but I think it's important to repeat. It bears repetition. Within 24 hours of installation of these so-called smart meters, and they're calling, again, for a moratorium throughout the country. I know Connecticut has just pushed through some kind of measure so that they don't have to... They can wait a little bit and really look at some of the research because apparently with all the billing errors, this is not going to save anybody any money. And there's this health risk. So the last thing in the world that we need is this next layer, a new layer, yet upon layer of more intense electromagnetic radiation that we're going to be living in. So I think this is a real problem, quite honestly.
Who are your opponents? Besides the obvious.
Everybody. That's easy. That's easy, everybody. This is, I wrote for the people. I didn't write for the and hopefully, interested in enlightened politicians, but individuals that are very tied to their technology, individuals that are really hardcore material scientists. This is all very new to me, and I try to translate the terminology so that everyday individuals can understand it. But those that are very high tech, and so on and so forth, if they see one word that may not be the exact scientific terminology that one needs to use, they'll start to discredit you, and they try that all over the place. So I would say it's individuals that really have something to lose in terms of their
longevity,
their addiction, shall we say, their belief, their paradigm with reference to this. But there are very, very erudite and articulate independent scientists that are speaking out all over the place, whether it's Martin Blank from Columbia University or Henry Lai or Ole Johansson at the Karolinska Institute in Stockholm. These guys are talking about what's going on now is the biggest biological experiment ever proliferated on the human race.
Wow.
And they're not fearmongers. They've got all the research. They see people day in and day out, and the current standards simply were not developed, Kim. They weren't established to really encompass all of the radio frequency radiation that is just just drowning us day in and day out because everybody, what is there, 5 billion people now that have cell phones? It's unbelievable. And you're not just using it for the normal reasons. I mean, you're using it for all other reasons. Because now they've transformed themselves into these computers, these iPhones, these smartphones. So I would say that people really need to take a look at the book, read it, understand it, slam it, do whatever you want, but just be informed. I think that's really what I feel is important, to be informed and to take all the measures that you can for you and your children, because daily, I don't think a day goes by, Kim, when I don't hear about one more individual that has some sort of strange cancer that just came, quote, out of the blue, or individuals that have lots of symptoms of tiredness, chronic fatigue, skin problems, ear problems, eye problems, lung problems, and those are all target organs in terms of microwave radiation. So we fool ourselves into thinking that all of this technology is really for our advancement. In fact, I think that we're going backwards in terms of our health.
Have you always lived in Idaho?
No, I didn't. I didn't. I'm from the East Coast. I'm a Connecticut Yankee by birth.
And what made you move to Idaho?
Well, we came here because I felt it was one of the most pristine environments in the country. It's like the Geneva of the Northwest.
Right.
It is lovely. I mean, you must come and visit. Where are you?
I'm in Los Angeles. God help us all.
Well, I lived in Santa Monica. I love it. I love that area.
Right. But actually, I've been to Idaho, so I will be back.
Well, come and visit northern Idaho.
I would love to.
We'll make that a date. You'll come in, you'll see the house, you'll see everything we did. We'll take the meters out. You'll see what I do once a week in terms of the dirty electricity. You'll see all my grounding devices. Yeah, I think it's made a huge difference in terms of me. And some of us, Kim, and here's something that we haven't mentioned that I want to leave your listeners with. Some of us are more sensitive than others. Not everybody feels the effects. And according to what the researchers in Sweden have to say, and in Switzerland, they believe that at least 35% of the population is mildly sensitive. So they're not even acutely sensitive. They're not chronically sensitive. They're mildly sensitive to these impacts. And again, people are not realizing where it's coming from. They're just getting used to feeling worse and worse. And symptoms don't go away the way they used to either. So I can say this is where it's from because I did the book and I had a tumor. That's how I became involved. It was like enlightened self-interest. That's why I wrote the book. It was for me and to share that information with others. Now it's up to you and your listenership to take the information, to read it, to observe it, to read it, to heed it, and to do the best you can in terms of being proactive about this and to get politically active if you need to.
It's such an honor to have you on, and I so appreciate your time and the tremendous body of work that you've done throughout your life and also recently with the delivery of Zapped, Why Your Cell Phone Shouldn't Be Your Alarm Clock and 1,268 Ways to Outsmart the Hazards of Electronic Pollution. Dr. Ann Louise, the First Lady of Nutrition, thank you so much for being on the show, ladies and gentlemen. If you would like to go to her website, you can go to annlouise.com or www.areyouzapped.com. God bless you, and I will see you in Idaho.
That's a date. That's a promise.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.